my co-chair, President, Chief Operating Officer, and member of the CEO group of J. Crew, Mr. Michael Nicholson.
Well, thank you, Father Jim, and good evening, everyone. I am extremely honored to be part of a special evening. And as wonderful as tonight will be, we are about to celebrate so much more. Each of us has been part of the Jefferson Awards community in a myriad of ways, as partners, sponsors, and award winners. We all know how powerful public service is, the act of putting others before yourself, of coming together, of seeing the good and creating more of it. In the company I lead, as well as organizations I'm part of, I'm always in awe of all the good that people do when they do it together. And this organization channels that even more powerful than I've ever seen before. And so, speaking of a force for good, it's my pleasure to introduce you to our third co-chair, NHL Hall of Famer, founder of Companions in Courage, and Jefferson Award winner, Mr. Pat LaFontaine.
Thank you. 3 is a hat trick. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Father Jim. Since receiving the 2012 Jefferson Award for Outstanding Public Service by an athlete, I have felt such an ever-present abiding call to do more and to do more to reach more people who need my help. When I return to the Jefferson Awards every year, I'm inspired to get out there and change the world. Tonight is about the recognition of good. Winning awards and getting recognized isn't why people do public service. However, being celebrated by your community, your peers, not only feels good and validates what you do, it fuels individuals, companies, and groups to do more, to multiply good. Thank you all for being here tonight. We have much to celebrate, and we promise to do and be inspired to do more good. Please turn your attention to the screen now.
If you think about 1972, right, the country was going through a constitutional crisis post-Nixon and Watergate, and it was a country that was busily tearing itself down. And the founding vision of the Jefferson Awards was to tell the very best stories of the very best Americans, both nationally and locally, and use that power of storytelling with scale to elevate the best of the country and to inspire those who were doing amazing things to think that they could do more and to multiply the impact that they could have.
Our third ceremony had 60 people, and we had the privilege of doing it in the original Supreme Court, right under the dome in the Capitol. And the founding co-chairs were Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis and Senator Robert Taft Jr. The original board of selectors was a who's who of top Americans. Muhammad Ali, Hank Aaron, the ball player, Neil Simon, the playwright, Jack Valenti, special assistant to Lyndon Johnson, Charlie Bartlett, who was a nationally syndicated columnist, and on it went like that.
People around the Bay Area that are making their mark on the community through service are being honored for their efforts.
The Jefferson Award winners for 2016 got their medals tonight.
Our media partners are amazing. It's local television stations, radio stations, and newspapers all across the country. We reach 100 million Americans every year.
Workplaces are effectively an amalgam of the people who work there. Employees want to be recognized for the things that they care about, for the things that they accomplish both in the workplace and for the things that they care about outside the workplace. With our Champion Network, which now represents 8 million employees and has recognized thousands of employees, what we hear from them is that transformation to culture is really powerful, again, through the lens of service, again, through the lens of telling the stories of the very best of what's happening in the people that make up who they are. There was one driving story that drove me into really wanting to take on this organization. We had a school in Elizabeth, New Jersey called Benedictine Academy. It was a struggling school. These young women were all first-generation American. And we first went in and engaged them in our youth program, and we asked them what they cared about. And their first reaction was, nobody's ever asked us that before.
No one ever asked them, what's your big idea to change the world? And here we come. And that completely transforms their attitude about themselves and their self-respect.
Service for us is about the individual. It's about unlocking the potential in that individual through the lens of service as an intervention that in turn creates better communities. And today, as we think about how that translates, we are in a country divided again. And one of the few salves to division is service. We've become a culture of the self. And service is one of the few things that can bring you outside of the self.
In America, service is the responsibility and the joy. And the benefit of service is it brings everybody together. And that's the spirit of multiplying good.
Everybody. Thank you. Welcome. So first, I promise tonight will be nothing but inspiration. I also promise, since we are in New York and we all have short attention spans, that tonight will flow quickly. As I said in the video, we are in a country divided again. We are in a moment in our country not unlike 1972 when this organization was founded, where it is on us to find ways to come together, to find ways to recreate empathy, compassion, understanding of difference. It is also on us to arm ourselves and the young people around us with skills, those soft skills, the skills of empathy and compassion and understanding of difference, and the hard skills, communication, project management, how to take an idea and make it a reality. And all of those things around us today are missing. I've been doing this now for 5.5 years. When I agreed to take this job, I agreed to do it for 6 months, maybe 9. And the whole idea is that I would figure out what was the most incredible about us, which we knew, which was about recognizing greatness and excellence, and use that power of recognition as a mechanism to inspire more greatness, to inspire the individual who's doing the hard work of service for others to say, yes, I can do more, and to inspire the recipient of the story to say, I should do something too, I should help them, or I should do something that matters to me. But what was unclear 5.5 years ago was the need, the power of service itself, which was at the heart of this organization for 42 years. Service is one of the most important things that we all need to embrace and multiply today. It is one of the most powerful solutions to all of the things that we know ails us. Service is community, it connects, it offers those skills that I'm talking about. As the video said, right, we've now trained 30,000 empathetic leaders and change makers under the age of 20 over the last decade, 6,500 last year. And in this room, there are some exceptional young people from New York City and New Jersey who I'd like to stand. Where are you? You're being shy. Please stand up. And then I'm going to tell you a really quick story, actually, about some young people who couldn't be here tonight, who are part of our program in New Jersey and have been for a number of years, who are part of a Muslim school. And they're all about helping the homeless in their community. And one of the reasons they're not here tonight has to do with this malaise we find ourselves in. which is that the people in their community don't want their help because they're Muslim. And these young people, instead of quitting and going home, are right now hard at work trying to figure out how to fix that, how to fix how their neighbors and the most in need in their community will embrace them and accept their help. That is what we all need to do. And that is what we do here at Multiplying Good. We rebranded because we know that we are at this unbelievably seminal time in the country. We're giving out Jefferson Awards, and recognizing people for excellence in service is essential to what we do. But at the same time, embracing that power of service to others is quintessential to how we fix the malaise that we find ourselves in. So thank you all for being here tonight, for helping me to recognize and celebrate the most exceptional people who are here, and to take a look around and celebrate each other. So welcome, thank you, and thank you for helping us multiply good and channel the power of service to others.
Good evening. Divine intervention and the stars and planets aligning and the juxtaposition of life imitating art is how I met Mariska Hargitay. You all know that in 2004, she founded the Joyful Heart Foundation while in Hawaii. She had been playing Olivia Benson at that time on Law & Order SVU for 5 years. Whatever or whoever spoke to her on that beach knew that she could no longer contain her passion, empathy, and longing to help the real-life survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. And they also knew that the real-life human beings were suffering the tragedies of unspeakable acts that she confronted, protected, and advocated for from the pages of her scripts daily. I became the elected prosecutor in Wayne County, Michigan in 2004. 5 years later, 11,341 untested sexual assault kits will be discovered sitting in an abandoned warehouse in Detroit. Attached to each one of those kits was an ignored and forgotten real-life rape victim. Some of the pain of their stories were beyond the scope of the imagination of even the best Hollywood writer. Mariska's visionary spirit, her unyielding compassion, her bottomless desire to help us pull these survivors to justice are the reasons that we have been successful in testing, investigating, and prosecuting these rapists today. She is the reason that we were able to get started in getting our rape kits tested. She is the reason that we were able to change laws in Michigan for the mandatory testing of all rape kits. She is the reason that all of the law enforcement communities in the entire state of Michigan did an audit for their untested and backlogged rape kits. She is the reason that Michigan will soon have a sexual assault kit tracking system so that there will never be another ignored survivor of sexual assault in my state again. She is the reason that a spotlight is continuously shined on this issue. She used her voice and literally started a movement. And now many other states are following Michigan's lead. And she did not stop there. She birthed, literally, the HBO documentary, I Am Evidence, to further eliminate to people from sea to shining sea the pandemic that is untested, backlogged sexual assault kits. This issue is no longer in the dark, and sexual assault is no longer the neglected child of violent crime. Our paths crossed divinely in 2010 to do this work together. This is the perfect example of life imitating art, and to me, Mariska is a shining example of what one extraordinarily talented, giving, and woke human being can do. I am so honored, humbled, and proud to present this award to my friend, the consummate humanitarian, Mariska Hargitay.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. I have to say, Kim, that my most instinctual response to receiving this award is to hand it back to you. Truly. Thank you for all the good that you have done in this world, Kim, and thank you for multiplying it. If you all heard a loud thump about a month or so ago, maybe 2, that was my jaw hitting the floor at the list of past winners of this award. And this is a lot to take in, and I really need to say I am so deeply honored and deeply humbled to be counted among their numbers. So I thank you to the Board of Governors and the Board of Selectors for that. My 2 favorite words have already come up already. So I just want to say, I think you said, I'm going to get this wrong, but it doesn't matter because you can know what I'm talking about. Spirit is the essence of joy, or joy is the essence of spirit. And the other word is empathy. Empathy. Everything. Compassion. Everything. So I'm sure that you can imagine that when I walked into a casting office 20 years ago for a new cop show that was on TV, or when I got my first piece of fan mail, when a survivor disclosed her story of abuse, or when I founded the foundation in 2004, I didn't have the faintest notion that I would be standing on this stage today. And in the spirit of full disclosure, I'm standing here trying to keep it together because the fact that this award is metal makes me think of my father, who was awarded many medals for his feat of strength, and whose shoulders I stand on every single day. For those of you who are very young, my dad was Mickey Hargitay. You can Google it. Just to keep you in the know. So when I heard the name of the award, Outstanding Service for Benefiting the Disadvantaged, I have to admit that I stumbled a little bit on the word disadvantaged, because in all the years that I've worked around the issues of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse, and from my very first days of SVU, 20 years ago, to our 15th, which is now our 15th year in Joyful Heart Foundation, I've never thought or classified survivors as disadvantaged. So Merriam-Webster defines disadvantaged as lacking in the basic resources or conditioned believed to be necessary for an equal position in society. So if we're going to call survivors disadvantaged, and if that means that they lack resources, what are the resources that they're lacking? Jean Amery was a Holocaust survivor, part of the resistance movement in Belgium before he was captured and sent to Auschwitz. And in his book, At the Mind's Limit, he talks about being tortured. So remarkably, he compares torture to rape because of the degree to which the self is violated in both instances. He says, whoever has succumbed to torture can no longer feel at home in the world. It blocks the view into a world in which the principle of hope rules. A part of the life ends and can never be revived. So I want to thank Jean Amery for providing the answer to what those basic resources and conditions are that survivors are lacking. Hope, trust, a sense of safety, and the ability to feel at home in this world. I also want to say that what has sustained me in this work, and what has moved me and brought me to tears again and again and again, is the courage of survivors to reclaim those very resources. The courage to reclaim hope, to reclaim trust, to reclaim their right to have a place and a voice, and maybe even justice in this world. How much strength that requires cannot be overstated. Yes, survivors are indeed profoundly disadvantaged, rendered so at the hands of not only the perpetrators who committed the crimes against him, but by our society, who blames them for what happened, who shames them for what happened, that has for so many years fostered a culture of silence and created near ideal conditions for perpetrators to perpetrate again. And thankfully, because of the work of so many, many, many unsung advocates and the strength and the power and the visibility of remarkable groups of survivors who continue to raise their voices in remarkable and powerful ways, that the culture of silence is being forever transformed. The long-awaited, deeply needed change is coming. And that is why I feel so privileged to do this work, to be able to participate in a changing world. And more specifically, changing how survivors experience the world. And I want to say to all of us to never, ever, ever underestimate the power that you have to change the course of a survivor's life. The simple act of listening without judgment, without agenda, without blame, is so often the most generous act of service that you can render. So I don't need to tell anybody in this room about these issues and how much work there is to be done. In the 20 years that I've been doing the show, and again in 15 since the Foundation's founding, the statistics that first inspired me haven't moved much. The needle has moved, obviously, a little bit. But I know in my heart that this violence can and will end. Maybe not in my lifetime, but I'm holding that. I feel so grateful to know that when we are working with anyone who is disadvantaged, anyone who lacks resources, that we ourselves, with our hunger for change, our insistence on hope, and possibly most importantly, the willingness to serve is, without a doubt, the greatest resource there is. I am humbled, I am grateful. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for this very meaningful award.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back for another year the incredible performers from the Harlem School of the Arts and their Herb Alpert Center.
One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours, it'll be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure, we will Oh, glory. 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 Oh. Glory. Oh. Glory. Oh, glory. Glory. Oh. Glory. Oh, glory. Glory.
To the heavens, no man, no weapon formed against. Yes, glory is destined. Every day, women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings. The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us. Justice is juxtaposition in us. Justice for all just ain't specific enough. One son died, the spirit is reliving in us. True and living in us. Resistance is us. That's why Rosa sat on the bus. That's why we walk through Ferguson with our hands up. When we go down, we woman and man up. They say stay down, and we stand up. Shots were on the ground, the camera panned up. King pointed to the mountaintop, and we ran up.
One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours. It'll be ours. Oh, glory. Glory. Oh. And victory isn't won, and we'll fight on till the finish. And then when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory. We'll cry glory, oh.
Once again, the Harlem School of the Arts. And now, please welcome the co-founder of Aspiration.com and one of the nation's most effective champions of low-income families, Multiplying Good board member, Joseph Sandberg.
Good evening. 51 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech of his that's my personal favorite. It's a less well-heralded speech, but I think it's arguably one of the most incisive. It's called the Unfulfilled Dream speech. And there's two parts of that speech that really stick with me as I move throughout the world trying to fight poverty. The first part of the speech that really sticks with me is a line where he said, "Life is about trying to finish that which is unfinishable." And then he connected that wisdom with a quote from 1 Kings chapter 8 that reads, "It is well that it is within your heart." And he was citing a passage that described David's attempt to construct the great temple and an attempt that he didn't complete. And when you marry that to the wisdom that life is about trying to finish that which is unfinishable, it begs the question that can lead to apathy, which is, if you can't finish it, why do you even try? And then from 1 Kings, he reminds us that actually everything that matters is about whether we try. I want to tell you a couple of anecdotes about some people who have it within their heart to think of others, and I hope it will challenge you to do more. You know, I do a lot of anti-poverty work. I started an organization in California that serves 2 million low-income people every year with services to help them get their government benefits. People who are single moms primarily earning $15,000 a year. And every day, hundreds of really poor people write me on social media. And they all reach out with their stories. And the stories all kind of go something like this. They talk about the turmoil that they face, usually because of a lack of health care and health insurance and a family member who's ill. And keeping in mind that, you know, I'm out there in the world as an anti-poverty crusader, someone who gives a lot of money to anti-poverty causes, raises money for anti-poverty causes, you'd think that maybe these messages would all end towards, can you help me? But every day, hundreds of very poor people write me, and they all end their messages with the same question. How can I get involved to help people who are even poorer than I am? Let me tell you one more anecdote that speaks to the spirit of service in human nature, what is within people's heart. I was in Stockton, California last spring, and with the Mayor Tubbs there, we're working on this universal basic income pilot. And we're meeting with a group of folks who are going to be recipients of this universal basic income, like a cash program. And we asked this single mom who's in her 30s named Magdalena what she would do if she had an extra $500 a month. And without even hesitating for a moment, she said she would give those $500 to homeless people every month, right? This is the spirit of service that is in the heart of the poorest Americans. And so, well, of course, this is an upbeat evening. I want to challenge you, though, and ask you, what is in your heart? And are the actions in your life matching everything you can do to help those who are in need? And when you go to sleep tonight and you think about that question, I want you to think about the poor people who write asking what they can do to help those who are poorer. I want you to think about Magdalena and how she wanted to give the extra $500 she gets every month to those who are homeless. And remember what Dr. King cited in his speech, it is well that it is within your heart, even if life is about trying to finish that which is unfinishable. Now it's my distinct honor to present someone who clearly has service in her heart, a visionary and the founder of It Only Takes One Kidney Health, Ramika Cox, and joining her to present the next Jefferson Award is Patricia Mulvaney, board chair of the Mott Haven Academy Charter School. Thank you.
Tonight, we are excited to introduce a special NYC award, bringing the Jefferson's Awards nearly 50 years of awarding grassroots unsung heroes to New York City. We know that children in the child welfare system face unique educational challenges that traditional schools are just not equipped to deal with. Repeated moves to new foster homes often means constantly changing schools. For victims of abuse, normal interaction with adults requires special sensitivity. Poor nutrition, lack of health care, and absent or incarcerated parents affect every aspect of these children's lives and speaks to the level of support they need at school. Mott Haven Academy Charter School was born in a first-of-its-kind attempt to address these issues at one. Started in 2008 by Jessica Nauiokas and the foundling, Mott Haven is so committed that at least 2/3 of its student body must be children actively in the welfare system. Today, Mott Haven serves over 500 students in the South Bronx, 1/3 of whom are in foster care, 1/3 are in foster care prevention programs, and 1/3 reside in our nation's most impoverished congressional districts. Today, with Jessica leading the way, Mott Haven has become a model for schools across the country, seeking stronger programming for child welfare-involved youth. It is my honor to present the first annual Jefferson Award for Outstanding Public Service benefiting the New York community to Jessica Nauiokas.
So I wouldn't be a school leader if I didn't forget to thank Multiplying Good for giving me the unfortunate place of going after the Harlem School of the Arts. The students represented, I think, what our future holds and what we hope youth will do in multiplying good for our future. So thank you guys for that. A quick thank you again to the Board of Selectors for Multiplying Good for giving me this honor. I am humbled to be here today, particularly in front of some of my colleagues, school leaders, teachers that have helped me start Haven Academy over the years. But I do think it's important to recognize that last night, over 10,000 students in New York City were considered in foster care. Last spring, 115,000 children were identified by New York City Public Schools as being homeless. And that means 1 in 10 students in public school goes home to a shelter at night, and they call that home. And well-intentioned educators, well-intentioned teachers show up to work every day and do their best to meet the needs of the students in front of them, but they really haven't been prepared and aren't given the structures necessary to be able to serve the needs of kids who have been victims of trauma and abuse. So 12 years ago, the New York Foundling set out to do things a little differently. And we identified a location in the South Bronx where we said if we could create a school experience, a haven, a safe haven for students to come to when they're in foster care, when they're living in shelters, when they're receiving prevention services because of an instance of abuse or neglect, we have the opportunity to give them one stable place to go, to grow, and to learn, despite the number of moves they have in their life, despite the chaos they're experiencing at home. And so that's what we've done. Fast forward 12 years, we had no roadmap to do what we're doing. We knew that it would take just as much energy on our social emotional curriculum, our trauma-informed environment, as it would on our academic work. And as a result of those efforts, our students are thriving. I'm proud to say that our students surpass the local students in the South Bronx, double and triple their scores. But that's not enough. They also beat the New York City school students in their ELA and math test last year, and that's not enough. Thank you. Thank you. But their path is long, and the road along it is very rocky. And so I'm proud to lead a group of educators that really understands that it's our job to give them that one stable experience. This morning, a student who I'll call Lee stepped into my office and said, "Ms. Nauiokas, I need to have a meeting with you." So after our agreed upon time, she came to my office and she said, "You need to fire my teacher." And so I asked questions, I listened, and she had valid points to why her teacher should be fired, why the assistant principal should be fired, why the behavior consultant should be fired, why the social worker should be fired. I asked her for her evidence, and she stated her evidence. But what I know is that Lee is experiencing a lot of transition in her life. She's been in foster care for all the years since she can remember, and she's been living with one foster parent since she was the age of 2. And most recently, she's had to transition back to her biological family, and it didn't go well, and now she's going back into foster care. And so her world is being turned upside down. And each day when she walks into the doors of Haven Academy, she knows she can predict the routines, she knows she can predict what her teachers and the assistant principal and the behavior specialist will say to her, and she's fighting for control. And right now, her way to control her world is to tell me to fire them. But in all seriousness, I recognize that if Lee had been in any other school across New York City, in some other city, in some other town, in some other state, she likely would have been identified as a student with a lot of behavior problems. She likely would have been sent to special education schools and received a whole host of services for something that adults caused in her world. Her issues are not that she has special needs. Her issues are not that she can't learn in a traditional setting. Her issues are that adults have let her down. And so I'm proud. I'm proud to lead a team of educators, thanks to our board and our generous donors and supporters over the years. But we lead a team of educators that understand that it's not fair for children who adults have let down to be let down by schools. And so we do our best to multiply good by making sure Haven Academy can be that safe haven for students as they work on becoming do-gooders in the future. So thank you very much for this award. I'm very humbled and grateful. Thank you.
We've become, in many senses, a culture of the self, but we perfect our community by focusing on the other through service, which is why the focus on encouraging young people to serve others is so critically important at this moment in our history.
And I want to be able to help teach my peers in the community that we can actually be better than what we are. I like to teach community service and also be active with community service.
Our goal is to talk about controversial things like race, sexuality, religion. I'm really passionate about it. There's a lot of inequality that happens that we don't even really realize.
More than just helping yourself, it's helping everybody. And when you feel good about yourself, then it changes your whole perspective on life.
What I really take away from what the Jefferson Awards has taught me is what they really inspire, which is that no matter where you come from or who you are, you always have an opportunity to create some sort of positive change.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Multiplying Good Board of Selectors member and the co-host of CBS This Morning, the incomparable Nora O'Donnell.
Good evening, everybody. What we know is that the heart of Multiplying Good is working with young people and giving them the confidence in their ability to make a difference and to acquire the skills to make a difference. In 2018, the organization partnered with the Edward Kennedy Institute and their Seat at the Table project. Seat at the Table. Well, the project is designed around Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm's famous quote, Do you know that quote? If they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. For those who don't know, Shirley Chisholm was the first Black woman elected to Congress in 1968. The project's intention is to bring diverse perspectives to the table and for people to step up and make their voices heard. Tonight, we're going to bring up 2 young people to bring their folding chairs to the stage so we can hear their voices tonight. So please welcome Edie Kuchek and Anthony Bello, both seniors at Bergen Arts and Science Charter School. All right, Edie, we'll start with you. Tell us how you got involved with Students in Action.
Well, I grew up in a very impoverished community. I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey. For any of you who know, Paterson is great, but it's not exactly the best place to grow up. My mother raised me and my sister on her own, and it was from her that I learned what it meant to be a good person and to give back to my community. And she's the reason that I joined Students in Action, because she taught me what it meant to be good.
And Anthony, why did you get involved in Students in Action?
The reason why I got involved with Students in Action is because I was very timid and very shy my freshman year when I first started this awesome and amazing program. And ever since then, I just adopted this beautiful and heartwarming and wholesome love towards this program. And I think that's one of the main driving forces, and definitely devoting yourself to service and putting people definitely above yourself.
So Edie and Anthony tell me they were actually enemies at school.
Yes.
I said, really? Enemies?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Completely polarized.
To the point where we would have screaming matches in the hallways about politics and about taxes, and we would have teachers holding us back so we didn't kill each other. Yeah, we really did not like each other.
She's not kidding.
And now they are together leading Students in Action together as friends.
Thank you.
That's just part of the power of service. But I thought what was so interesting in talking to them earlier is, think about this. We start to gather based on interests. What if we gathered based on values? Shared values, which is what brought the 2 of you together. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had a lot of opposing views, from things like flat tax to abortion to even the most simple subject. But through leading Students in Action together, we realized that in the end of the day, we were both human beings. We both had opinions, yes, but we both hold the same values. We just wanted to make a difference in our communities. And through Students in Action, we saw that. We saw that it wasn't about screaming at each other what our opinions were, but about understanding each other's points of view.
Talk about one of the projects that you guys have started, Peer to Mentoring. It has helped you change the culture in your school. Anti-bullying, what else has it done?
So we noticed that there was a huge lack in our school. A lot of freshmen were getting bullied, and a lot of them were feeling belittled by the upperclassmen, which is something that often happens. And we wanted to change that sort of epidemic. So we decided to start this program, Peer Mentorship, that would pair up upperclassmen with incoming freshmen, and allow them to be mentors to them, to guide them through their first year. It allowed the upperclassmen to see what it meant to be in their position once again, and to be leaders. And it showed the freshmen that they had a place at the table. They had a chair, essentially.
Yeah.
And Anthony, how would you say that has changed your school?
It has definitely strengthened and built such a more warm school climate, and definitely enhanced the school culture, which I think is something tremendous and something we're definitely very, very proud about.
And if you've been listening closely tonight, it's not only how service changes your community, but how it changes you. So how has it changed you?
Well, I'll speak first. I always knew I wanted to go into education. I mean, I knew. My mother's a teacher, so I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be something in education. But one of the biggest parts of education that a lot of people don't realize is it's a lot about classroom management. So how are you going to get these 20, 30 kids to sit down and listen to you and to take something from that lesson, you know? It's very hard.
I think they listen to Edie.
No, but to be honest, when I started out, I wasn't sure if I could do that. I wasn't sure if I could stand in front of a group of kids and say, you know, I know something and I can help you, and, you know, how can I help you? Tell me, how can I help you? And I wasn't sure I could impart that onto them. I wasn't sure I was qualified enough. But Students in Action, it taught me that it wasn't about whether or not I was qualified enough. It was about how much confidence I had in myself and how I could use that to benefit other people.
And Anthony, you talked about being shy. How has it changed you?
Sure. Ever since my freshman year, I've been very
timid.
Yeah, very timid, but then over time, okay. But over time, I definitely adopted a strong sense of you know, giving back to the community and a burning passion. And to me, in my opinion, I always believed in a life lived in the service of others is the only life worth living. And thank you. And one of the big overarching themes that me and actually believe in is we believe in a hand up, not a handout. That's something we're definitely firm believers in. And definitely not a quick Band-Aid fix. We definitely want to understand the real reasons why we're helping these people in the situation that they're in and things of that nature.
Well, you've proven that tonight. Our future leaders, please give Anthony and Edie a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome celebrated American poet and the president of Hunt Auctioneers, Lucas Hunt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's come to the part of the program you've all been waiting for. The live auction, but we have nothing to sell. However, we do have a need to fulfill. We're going to keep the focus on Anthony and Edie and the Students in Action project. Because as you heard, they're transforming the culture of their schools and being transformed themselves through service. So we're going to ask you right now to help. Become a part of this we moment. Step out of the individual into the collective. And by doing that, we'd like you to grab that tablet on your table. There's no food served tonight, but we have a tablet course in the ballroom. Grab the tablet and please hold it up so that I know you can hear me, because this is how we're going to be of service to the Anthony and Edies of the country. More tablets. There's 60 of these in the room, and I see only 15. Maybe bring the house lights up so we can see faces as well. Please grab your tablets this side of the room. It's very dark. Hold up those tablets. Seriously, this side of the room, it's very dark. I see the tablet on your table. I have a table chart up here. Yes, that one. That's the tablet I was hoping for. Thank you. Here's what we're going to do. A reverse auction where we start at a high level and we work our way down. All of your donations go for our Students in Action program. Every amount counts. We're looking for 100% participation and for you to raise your hand and then enter your donation in that tablet wherever you're comfortable. So our first level of giving tonight, it's $25,000. But it equips 5 schools in New York City with leadership training and recognition programs that give youth the skills and confidence that you heard on this stage to make a transformation. So we are asking you now, become a part of this moment of service, and raise your hand at the $25,000 level. How many hands can we see? Don't even think about it. It's only money. You can make more. Looking for hands at our opening level. Who's going to kick us off? I know we have someone in this room that believes in the Jefferson Awards, that believes in multiplying good. For $25,000 can impact 5 schools in New York. Can you raise your hand? Or we're going to have a totalizer up here if you'd like to be anonymous, and it'll just go in. You can enter it directly into the tablet. Anyone care to raise their hand now? The totalizer will pop up if you do it. Looking for a lead donor. We're going to go down from here. We got it? Table 1. Thank you so much. The original table. It was getting a little sweaty up here. Who'd like to match at $25,000? Big impact, 5 schools. Thank you. Table 1 and other people are already entering in donations. You can enter in any amount at any point in time. Every amount counts. We are looking for 100% participation. I'll ask one more time, just because it would make this room so happy and Anthony's and Edja's successful at their empowerment. Anybody else at 25,000? You can do it. Wow, look at, we're growing. We're up to $40,000. That's wonderful. Raise your hand though, and that'll make the room see you, see your service, or just go right into the tablet. Let's go on down to our next level. What do we got, another? They flash up so quickly. Thank you, Wandy. Thank you. Every amount counts. So if 25 wasn't your level, we have $10,000 and it delivers skills-based service to 40 young people like Edie and Anthony. We got more right there. Patrick, thank you. Table 11. We're off. Thank you, Mark. Now we're going. Anonymous. Thank you. You saw individuals motivated to make changes in their communities. We're rolling. Audrey, thank you. Table 22. Amongst your tables, get to know each other. After you make your pledge, pass it on. Pass it over to your neighbor. Allow them to use it. We'll be sharing these tablets tonight. Thank you, madam. That is very nice giving. Popcorn in one hand, hands it over her shoulder. $10,000 level. Trains 40 students so that they can learn the skills-based services. Here we go, more. Susan, Braun, thank you. Table 10. Every amount counts. We're at the $10,000 level now. Boom. Nora, thank you. Thank you, Anonymous. Thank you, thank you. Making positive impacts in the community. They go up so quickly. You all cheer and then I look up and they're gone. But I believe you that they're occurring. 2,500, thank you, Junior. We're up to 87,000. Let's keep it rolling. $5,000 level. Again, you can raise your hand if you want or just put it right into the tablet. Don't listen to me. It funds a team of exceptional young people, right? An entire team to go to Washington, D.C., which is our biggest celebration of service every year. It's a youth conference. There's an intense training, great networking. Thank you very much, Anonymous. In Washington, D.C., Whoa, Michael, thank you. So quick, so smooth. D.C. is the national conference where students come from around the country. Thank you again, Anonymous, $250, to get together, and good times good equals great. Whoa, Scooter. Thank you, Scooter. We're climbing right up. We're over $100,000, that's great. Thank you, another anonymous gift. $5,000, again, funds a team to go to DC where all the Anthonys and Edges can get together and talk and multiply and scale their work. Thank you, another one, Nick. Next level of giving is $2,500, and this puts on a leadership conference, and it equips 100 youth. This is where your gift goes. Group gatherings, thank you very much, table 2. Thank you, Jody. Group gatherings, public trainings, public service pitches, so if they have an idea about change, philanthropic change, social change, they can pitch it and get feedback and build it and make it happen. There's also 6 to 8 hours of curriculum at these gatherings. Thank you, Anonymous, for $1,000. Keep it rolling. We're at $2,500, so if you can do $2,500 now, please do. Thank you. Scott, thank you very much. Very generous, everyone. After you make your pledge, please pass it around to your neighbor. We're looking for 100% participation. Our next level is $1,000. Why are we here? Service. Especially to support our students in action, train and empower them so that they can be leaders, problem solvers, and change makers. Can you raise your hand at 1,000? I was adding some zeros. At 1,000, or go right into the tablet and pass it around. Looking for $1,000 gifts up on the screen. We're at 120. That's great. Let's go for 150. Can we get 20 of these at $1,000? Thank you, Jeff. Looking for more generous gifts at $1,000 to support. This would also fund the recognition of a grassroots unsung hero, just like Jessica. Up to 120 even. Thank you, Shonda, for $2,500. Very generous. All right. Doing great. Next level of giving is $500. It supports the complete activation, training, and support and recognition of 2 young people for an entire year. That's it. $500. We'll support them. How many hands can we get up? How many donations can we get in the next minute? They'll go up there. I feel like I could just be singing. This is so sweet. You're all doing wonderfully well. Thank you. But we are looking for $500 gifts. If you haven't had a chance to give yet, please pass that tablet around and go for it. Right there. Thank you, Tina, for your $500 gift. Thank you, Alex, at table 26 as well. Generous. We're at $500, still asking for $500. We only have one more level left after this. If you haven't got a chance, who hasn't got a chance to donate? Raise your hand. If you're still waiting for a tablet, I want to make sure I'm giving you time. It's not a trick, just a timing matter. I want to make sure that you're actually keep passing the tablets around, keep making donations. We're at $125,000. That's huge. Our next level, our last level, is $250, which provides curriculum and technology for a student to reinforce the deep blended learning that occurs. How many hands can we get up at $250? How many donations can we see into tablet? Boom! Whoa! That's big. Where were they all my auction? Thank you. Anonymous. Generous Anonymous. That's why I was asking for more time. Sometimes these things occur. Thank you all so much. 153,000. That's great. Can we push it to 200 in the next 2 minutes? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. It's for Anthony and Edie. You saw them. You saw how good they are. Leadership, training, ideas. When I talked to them before, they were telling me about, they were asked a question, what's your passion? What kind of change would you like to make in the world? Then they created an objective research plan to go out and make a difference. They're working with homelessness in their communities. Not just handing out meals, but finding systematic ways to address the problems and make people's lives better. They were talking to me about helping with addiction. They were talking to me about helping with housing, helping with employment. They know what they're talking about. What do we have? Ben, thank you so much. Oh, every amount counts, Ben. Thank you so much. Every amount counts. If you'd like to give more than $25,000 or less than $250, please, all we want you to do is be a part of this moment, be a part of tonight, be a part of the Jefferson Awards, and help us multiply good, because every amount counts. And this can stay rolling all night. However, I cannot stay rolling all night. Again, if you need a moment to make a donation, raise your hand to your table mate. How about that? And say, please pass me that tablet, and enter in whatever amount, because it all makes a difference. Every amount counts. Where are we at now? 154. Let's drive it over 200 in the next half an hour as we're having a good time. Can I get a round of applause for everybody in this room? Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, and keep giving if you haven't gotten a chance to give. Thank you.
A reminder to keep those bids coming in. Now, please welcome 2015 Jefferson Award winner, best-selling author, founder of Pencils of Promise, and Chief Operating Officer of We Grow, Adam Braun.
So tonight is a very special night for, I'm sure, all of the honorees, but I have the distinct pleasure as an individual introducer to bring up my brother shortly. So my brother, who I know as Scott, who the public world knows as Scooter Braun, is someone who has somewhat of a dual life, in that, you know, when he walks into many, many rooms, people kind of turn ahead. They recognize him for the incredible work that he has done in the public eye. But the Scott that I know is somebody who does the little things time and time again. You know, in the kind of public eye again, the list of impact initiatives that he has led is extraordinary. A number of years ago, he made a commitment that every one of the artists that he manages would choose their own philanthropic contribution, their own organization, their own level of impact, and that they had to weave that into the very fabric of everything that they undertook. And the level of initiative that these different individuals have taken has been extraordinary across a multitude of different nonprofits and organizations around the world. But beyond that, Scott has been the chair of Pencils of Promise's advisory board, and I cannot think of any individual outside of those who do the day-to-day work on the ground in the countries where we have built now over 500 schools, who has had a greater impact than Scott has had on our organization. Beyond that, he's also on the chair of an organization known as F Cancer. I'm sure when he gets up here, he'll say the full word proudly, that was founded by his incredible wife, Yale. Several years ago when the hurricanes devastated communities across Texas and Florida and Puerto Rico, he responded to the call to action and he led the Hand in Hand telethon that I'm sure many of you watched that raised over $64 million and provided much needed support. It provided much needed support to hundreds of thousands of children and adults. And when another one of the artists that he manages, Ariana Grande, put on a concert in Manchester in the UK, and a devastating act of terror was committed in a bombing outside of that arena, I remember talking to Scott, and our entire family talked to him about what the response was going to be, and every single person was telling him that they shouldn't put on an immediate benefit, that they shouldn't, kind of respond to this in any immediate way. And I'm sure he can speak about it up here, but he said, no, we have to act and we have to show that we will not cower to terrorism and that it is critical that we come together in these moments and show bravery and courage. And I think the entire world responded to that. And I work with somebody now who's from the UK, and when he learned who my brother was, he said, that is absolutely unbelievable, and your brother deserves the key to our city, and he will likely receive it one day soon. The other thing that I think is extraordinary is that in coming into this evening, he knew this was going to be a room full of people, and he decided, in only the way that he can, that every single person here, all of you, are going to receive 2 tickets to Justin Bieber's upcoming world tour. I'm just kidding. That's not happening. This night is about giving. It is not about receiving, ladies and gentlemen. But that said, I cannot think of someone who is more deserving and does more little things. For all the great things that I just mentioned in the public eye, those of us that know him best, those of us that love him so much, you're an inspiration to all of us, both those that see you in the street, for those of us that know you. We're so grateful that you're in all of our lives, and you are the exact example of the man that I hope my children get to become one day, and that all of you get to honor in this moment with the 2019 Roger S. Forchow Jefferson Award for Outstanding Public Service for a Private Citizen. Scott, brother.
That music is really exciting. I feel like Rocky. First, I want to say that my brother thought it was a joke, but I'm happy to say that earlier tonight, I met a very incredible individual who I'm happy to say I changed his life. And I'd like him to stand up now His real name, and you are all going to actually his tour this summer, is Justin Bieber. Please stand up, Justin. That is his birth name. I met him earlier tonight. I am so sorry. For every disappointed 14-year-old at every party that you go to for the rest of your life. I was actually talking at my table earlier, I was thinking about what I was going to say when I got up here. And I'm going to wing it because there were just so many amazing moments throughout the night that I wasn't really sure what I was going to come up with. But one of the things, beyond meeting Justin, that happened earlier is an individual, and he'll remain unnamed, asked me downstairs, pulled me aside, and he said, you know, I like to meet people who I think see the world and see things that no one else sees. And I want to ask you, as, in my opinion, one of those people, what do you think makes you different? And one, I'm honored that you thought I was one of those people. But I immediately pointed at the two people sitting at that table right there, my mom and dad. And the reason, they don't know that I said this, they're finding out right now. The reason I said that was because the way they raised myself and my siblings, from day one, they made us believe that the impossible, that the unreasonable was reasonable. They made us believe that we could really achieve anything, and they gave us this incredible sense of false confidence. That being said, we went through life going after it every single time, understanding that the only thing that we could be told was no, and that wasn't a big deal. It was a pit stop on the road to success. And it's funny that they get to watch their other son, who was a recipient before, present that award to me now. And Adam, you are much taller than me, but you'll always be my baby brother, and I can't tell you how proud I am of the man that you are. And you're incredibly deserving of this award when they gave it to you before, and the man you've become, I just can't tell you how proud I am of you. So now about the reason I'm up here. I am here because I stand on the shoulders of some incredible people, people who you don't know their names. They work hard day in, day out. When I come up with these crazy ideas of action, they step up. And I stand on their shoulders. And that's really how it works. None of us go unaided. All of us need a helping hand, whether it be someone you're passing by in the street or, you know, someone you admire. It's that famous quote by Plato, be kind, for everyone walks a hard journey. And I think that in today's day and age, where it was fun watching the young people earlier, they were very funny. In this day and age where we're bringing our kids into a world of 140 characters and clickbait, and in a world of such division, I think it's really important. One of the things I've heard everyone say here is it's time to listen. And it's time to really step up and put our pride aside and see if we can find equal understanding. And the best way to do that is to meet someone in a place where they can find respect. Meet someone where they are and show them that we're all very, very similar when it comes down to the core. We all want our children to be happy. I'm incredibly honored to be here. I'm thankful to the foundation. I'm thankful to the selection committee. I also thankful that I got to see my favorite character from Law & Order. When you asked that question earlier of have you done enough, I can tell you there are plenty of days in my life that I did not do enough because I was watching Law & Order over and over and over again, and asking myself, how is there another episode I have not seen? But now that you know I've wasted so many days not stepping up, I just want to say that I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that aren't standing up on this stage, who aren't receiving an award, and you guys are the real heroes. You're the ones out there doing the work every single day. And for the young people who came over to me and shook my hand earlier and kind of told me what you guys are going what you're doing on a daily basis. You're what it's about. You guys are the future. I got to work on the Children's March and see some incredible individuals. And I can tell you, in these dark times, the bone breaks, but it heals stronger. And I can't tell you how excited I am for this next generation that's coming, because they actually care. We've screwed some things up, but they give a damn. And I think as long as we keep encouraging them, keep giving that false sense of confidence to the next generation, they're going to do extraordinary things. So I really appreciate everybody, and have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Cantor Fitzgerald employee and 9/11 family member, Austin Vukosa.
I've worked at Cantor Fitzgerald for the past 3 years, but I've known Edie for over 17 plus. On September 11th, 2001, Cantor Fitzgerald lost 658 employees. Among them, my father, Alfred Vukosa, and Edie's brother, Gary Lutnick. Since that day, Edie's commitment, along with the relief fund to the Cantor families, has been nothing short of remarkable. She treated all the 9/11 children like her own, and she made sure we were taken care of. The personal nature of her warmth really stuck out to me. Over time, she has become like a second mom to me. She's truly made an impact on thousands of lives and continues to do so. The Cantor Relief Fund has since grown to support many other disaster relief causes, largely due to her vision. Most recently, the Cantor Relief Fund provided aid to families impacted by Hurricanes Irma and Maria. The Jefferson Awards celebrate the practice of multiplying good. Through her selfless efforts over the years, I can't imagine a person more exemplary of that message. There are few people I admire more than Edie. It is my incredible and deeply personal honor to bestow the very first Jefferson Award presented to an individual who has made a profound impact on the broader New York community, to Edie Lutnick.
Scooter's right, that's amazing music. Oh, Austin. You know, I knew that this was going to be an extraordinary night, and I suspected that the speakers would be outstanding and inspirational, but kudos, man, to all of you. Hillary asked me to think about why. She said, "What's your why?" Cantor Fitzgerald had 960 employees. On September the 10th, we lost 658. In 9/11, we had the largest loss of life. Those 658 families left behind 953 children, each who had lost a minimum of one parent. Austin is my why. Everyone like him at Cantor Fitzgerald is my why. I thought about the term family when Hillary asked me my why, because my family is here tonight. My sister-in-law, Allison, my nephew, Kyle. Kyle, as most of you have heard the story, saved my brother Howard's life by being 5 years old and being taken to kindergarten. Kyle, one of our children, is now a graduate of Stanford, and he And he interned this summer for Scooter. This is a very small world. I am so grateful to be here tonight. The Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund started in order to try to take care of the families of our 658 and 61 families from Eurobrokers. And what was important to us, my brother Howard, who's the chairman of Cantor Fitzgerald, was to rebuild the company so that they would have financial assistance. And to me, it was to rebuild them as human beings so that they would be able to move forward and take care of their families. But in addition to that, what was so important to us was legacy. How could we assist our families? And this has a lot to do with multiplying good. How could we assist our families in creating a legacy for those that they loved so that their goodness would move forward in the world even though they could no longer be with us? And we gave each one of our families $1,500 in order to be able to memorialize their loved one any way that they saw fit. And I am proud to say that there are over 500 charities that have come out of the Cantor families, not to support me or the 9/11 families, but to take care of all of you and the issues and the things that matter to you. And so when our families became more stable, we decided what else could we do to help them, and we created Charity Day. And what Charity Day is on September 11th, or the first work day thereafter, 100% of the revenues, not the profits, the revenues, at Cantor Fitzgerald, BGC Partners, GFI, Newmark, all go to about 150 charities around the world that are important to our employees, our clients, and the celebrity ambassadors, Mariska, Scooter, Hillary, who come in and make it an uplifting day for all of our employees who are giving up their commissions and their salaries that day so that we can do good and multiply good in the world. When Superstorm Sandy hit our community, we had already been helping with other tragedies, with the tsunami, with Katrina. But when Sandy hit, it was personal. It was personal to New York, to New Jersey, to Connecticut, and we said we had to do something. And my sister-in-law, Allison, who is the Director of Disaster Operations for the Relief Fund, my brother Howard, and myself said, how can we help? And we decided what we could do is we could take the lessons that we'd learned from 9/11 and we could apply them in a way that was meaningful. And so what we did was we decided that when you are a mother or a father and you have young children, it is a great joy, but it's also an added responsibility. And so we were going to take disadvantaged families who had been hard hit by these hurricanes and who had young children, and we were going to give each family $1,000, no questions asked. All they had to do was affirm that they had in fact been hit by this hurricane. And we would do what's so important for charities to do, which is we worked with government, we worked with the school districts, we worked with the communities to make sure that we were getting the people who had in fact been hardest hit. And we, for Hurricane Sandy, gave $10 million, $1,000 apiece to 10,000 families. And when that worked, and we taught people that we had no connection with really, they didn't know us, they didn't know we were coming, they didn't know why we were there, what we gave them was hope. Because the strongest thing that you can give to somebody who's been impacted is hope. To let them know that they are not alone in this world and they are not forgotten. And there are people who care about them. And so when that worked for Sandy, we turned around and said, let's do it again. And so we did it for Harvey, and then we did it for Maria. And we just got back from Puerto Rico, and I have a table back here, all made up, nothing but volunteers who came with Allison and I and Kyle to Puerto Rico in order to be able to assist 4,000 families. Cantor Fitzgerald Relief Fund is one of the best kept secrets of a charity that's given over about $350 million you're ever going to meet. We're pretty quiet about it, but we do what we can do to multiply good. And I am so honored to be here tonight, and I am so thankful and so grateful for all of the people who, like Austin, who lost his dad and yet worked for Cantor Fitzgerald like over 40 other kids. Think about that for a second. 40 children whose parents were killed while at work at Cantor decided that they wanted to come back to work there. That's extraordinary. They are extraordinary. When you find a passion, when you find a mission larger than yourself, when you turn around and you connect with others in order to be able to do good in the world, when you multiply what it is that you do, when you multiply that good, you change the world. Thank you so very, very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the co-founder of the Jefferson Awards and Multiplying Good and founder and chair of low-income economic development programs for the last 8 presidents of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Beard.
You know, when I was running the Jefferson Awards, I could never sit down because I was always late. And running around trying to organize things and make sure everything worked perfectly. Now I come and I just cry. It's just spectacular what we've done. So what I want to do tonight is just briefly start a conversation, involve each of you, and I want to talk about 3 things. I want to talk about personal crises. Pretty much everybody in this room at some point in their life has had a personal crisis. And if you haven't, you're lying. And the question when you have a personal crisis, which we all do, is it a defeat, or do you look at it as an opportunity to grow? And then I want to talk to you about self-discovery and service and multiplying good. And I want to talk about gratitude. We just never say thank you enough. In 2014, I had a personal crisis. At age 75, my income was supposed to stop, and the pension that I had worked all my life to build was not supposed to be mine. And there were lawyers and stress, and I couldn't work. It was terrible. To be thankful, I now want to thank the people who chased me so bitterly because it changed my life. It opened a whole new door. It got me to go inside and explore Sam Beard. And yes, I've had such fun in my life. I have created and then chaired a program for 8 presidents of the United States. I have founded the Jefferson Awards with Jackie Kennedy. I have created more than 10 million jobs in inner cities. But when I explored myself and found different things, I was born into a lucky start birth, a strong family. Ethics, work hard, believe in yourself, good schools. But I learned that there were never any hugs in our family. It was never, come sit in my lap, I love you. And my father was present but absent. We never played baseball. He never introduced me to anything like girls or relationships. It didn't happen. So I'm thankful for that crisis. I'm also thankful to my daughter Hillary. She understood that I was wounded, and she came to run the Jefferson Award. And yes, it was an opportunity for her because she has such a heart, and it was an opportunity to give back and make a difference. But when she changed her life, she was changing her life to save mine. Hillary, I love you. I want to thank you for the opportunity of introducing Morgan Guess. At age 8, Morgan was viciously bullied in school. Viciously bullied in school. And she tried to hide it, and it affected her health. And her beautiful mother and father recognized that and talked about it. No one should be bullied. I'm going to say something pretty stupid. I am thankful that Morgan was bullied, because out of that challenge grew an extraordinary young woman. It showed that Morgan had such amazing heart. Morgan had such amazing courage. And she is now in her school and her community the place to go to if you're bullied, the place to go to if you're forgotten. And it's not easy. The mother of one of the bullies posted a picture of herself looking out at the audience, pointing a rifle. And the local sheriff came up and said, "Morgan, I think your life is in danger. You should stop." And she did not stop. So I am thankful that we're here to honor an extraordinary American hero, Morgan Guess. Now, I'm crying too. At any rate, Morgan is now 16, and she's at the starting line, ready to commit 20 years of beauty and energy and imagination to change lives and multiply good. So Morgan, I want you to lift your leg up like you are at a starting line. See if you can keep it up there. This June, I'm going to be 80. And I'm also at the starting line. I have finally learned what the hell I'm doing. And I dedicate my, well, we're going to tip over. No, we're not. We didn't tip over. I'm going to dedicate the next 20 years having the privilege of working with Hillary and her team, and we're going to make Multiplying Good the most extraordinary nonprofit in America. And we're at the starting line, and we are raring to go. Watch out, here we come. I gotta blow my nose. I just appreciate, with the personal crisis, in our family, I went to good schools and I was great with the left side of my brain. I'm now practicing to operate from my heart. And what I want to say with that is I'm going to do something a little different. Hillary, in her remarks, said we're a divided nation, and we are. And I will maintain that multiplying good has the power to change America. And that's what we're here to celebrate tonight. And I want to make a plea. I want one, maybe two, maybe more, to see that the Just Awards and Multiplying Good, it's a chance of a lifetime to join our leadership team and get engaged. Let me repeat that. Multiplying Good as a nonprofit, as a foundation, is unique. It is a unique opportunity for maybe one of you, or maybe another one of you, to join the team. Because in the 20 years, we very simply have the opportunity to change America. And if someone wants to stand up and really join us and get engaged, which life is all about, I promise you to get engaged. You're going to have fun with us, but you're going to help build the vision that I started with Jackie Kennedy and Bob Taft. And the most important thing that I'm saying is that if you join us, you'll have the privilege as a legacy. Think of it as a legacy opportunity to basically identify, train, and activate thousands, if not a million, Morgans. Please think about it. If this idea inspires you at all, talk to me, talk to Hillary. Think about it, go to sleep, call us at any time. This is an amazing opportunity, and one of you, two of you, or maybe more of you, can help us fulfill the dream. Now, with all that, please welcome an American hero, Morgan Guest, who is going to win the 2019 Jefferson Award for Outstanding Service by an individual 25 years and under. Hold on one second.
They said get your tissues ready, but I didn't know I was going to cry on stage. First of all, thank you, Jefferson Awards. Thank you, Multiplying Good. This has been an amazing experience, but there's still a lot going on. 13 million kids will be bullied this year. 160,000 kids skipped school today because they were afraid. A teen is bullied every 7 seconds. When I began my work, my state of Kentucky led the nation in teen suicide attempts. Kids who are afraid do not learn. I am one of those kids. 8 years ago, I could have never imagined standing before you here tonight. Instead, I felt afraid and alone. I didn't tell anyone, including my parents, because I was afraid the bullying would get worse. My bully was pinching me on the back of the neck, where no one could see the marks. She would pull my hair, hit me, and she called me terrible names. Worst of all, she isolated me from all of my friends. When my pediatrician suggested that I be removed from the school because I was emotionally unsafe there, I was having stomach spasms and panic attacks,
and I was diagnosed as clinically depressed as an 8-year-old. I knew I had to do something. My parents told me that bad things are going to happen in life, and they gave me 3 options. They said I could ignore it, I could blame others, or I could be a part of a positive change. I, with the help of my family, chose to make a difference. And when others believe in you, you are going to see beyond your own needs and see the suffering around you. The more I lifted up the issue, the more I heard from kids who felt like no one heard them, that no one believed them, and that no one would help them. The story of my Uncle Mark reminds me of what happened when a child is not helped. Like me, my uncle was bullied when he was 8, but he was bullied by a teacher. I know his story so well. He is sitting in a small classroom. He wants no attention on him, but he has to go to the bathroom. He raises his hand and asks permission. The teacher, without emotion, says only one word: no. He sits in silence and urine streams down his pants. He sits in it all day. He is humiliated, and he struggles for years. Sorry. When he was just 33, he attempted suicide 18 times in 6 months. Most of the time, he would panic and call 911. They would pump his stomach, and a judge would send him to a 72-hour evaluation at a mental hospital 2 hours away. On what would be his last visit to that hospital, he finds a way to lock the door. He takes a sheet from his bed, he removes the ceiling tile, and puts the sheet around his neck. The sheet is too long, so he gets down on his knees, and he hangs himself. He would live for 5 days, but he would never regain consciousness. I tell this story because it's important for all of us to know the impact of our words and of our actions. I'm grateful that my story is full of people who believed me and fought for me. It would be these people that would help me begin a movement toward creating kinder schools and communities. I'm grateful for a growing army of supporters. It started nearly a decade ago with a $7,000 donation from a business owner to help me bring a bullying survivor to speak to 6,000 kids in my school system. People from around the country turned to social media to help us win a contest to bring a free screening of the documentary Bully and its New York City filmmaker Lee Hirsch to my hometown. We buy the Bully educational toolkits for every Kentucky school who will use it. We also convinced our governor to appoint a statewide task force to study the issue, and I was asked to testify before the state legislature for a bill that would finally define bullying. That definition now provides all 640,000 kids in Kentucky public schools to find a pathway for help. And thousands gather on the first Saturday of every August for our kindness walk. Every corner of our community comes together at the start of the school year to commit to lifting up kindness. Students from 9 schools came together to design and paint a kindness mural. A second mural will be added to our downtown next month. But nothing brings me more pride than opening our mental youth health drop-in center. Students from middle school through age 25 can go there to get the support and services they need. Over the years, my story has often been misunderstood. It was never about a teacher, a school, or even a bully. My story is about every one of us. It is about how we treat one another and what we put out in the world. It is about you setting example you want me to follow. And it is about me taking responsibility for how I treat others. Whenever I get weary and tired, God always brings someone to me to remind me that there is more to do. There will always be more to do. But I believe in my generation, and I believe in you. And I promise to be the change I want to see in the world. Thank you, and I hope you will join me in being fearless and kind. Together, we can multiply good. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Global Co-Head of Mergers and Acquisitions at Citigroup and Multiplying Good Board member, Mark Schaefer.
All right, I'm between you and the exits. So look, when I got involved, Sam Beard asked me about 8 years ago to get involved with the organization, and I did it because of Sam, my father-in-law. And I can tell you in 8 years, it's become my passion. I think you've seen the stories tonight. I get the good fortune of being on the Board of Governors, of seeing them all the time. You know, we live, as many have said tonight, in very uncertain times. Civil discourse does seem to be a thing of the past. Without civil discourse, dealing with the issues of social justice that we face, very hard to do. What gives me hope, and keeps the faith, as it were, is working with these young people and seeing these stories that I get to see every day. And I do think, you know, when you think of Anthony and Edie and what they're doing and the talent, when we go into communities, and even incredibly disadvantaged communities, when you engage these young people and they develop a passion, it leads to self-esteem. They can be change agents. They can change the world. The educational aspirations go up, and it's just an incredibly powerful change agent, which is what we think service ultimately is. So my job tonight is to thank everybody here, thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the organization for being here, for supporting us, for the sponsorships, for our media partners. This is our major funding event of the year, and without you, we couldn't do it. So again, thank you very much on behalf of the organization. A couple of housekeeping items. Please stay around. We got drinks, dessert, and coffee for those that we haven't worn out. Secondly, the winners we'd like to have go back and take some photos. And then finally, we get the Harlem School of Arts to finish our evening. But again, thank you for all the support and everything you do for us. We're incredibly blessed to be part of this organization, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
So much, everybody, for having us. On behalf of HSA and the Dorothy Maynard Singing, we just want to give you our love and let you know it's going to be a lovely day.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and my heart is filled with pain, smile upon my face is gone. impossible to face. When someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. When I think of you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you. Oh, just one look at you. And I know it's gonna be a lovely day. 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 Lov lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. It's a lovely day, yeah. It's a lovely day, yeah.
Come on, put your hands together. Yeah, it's a lovely day. Yes, it is. Sing it.
It's a lovely day, yeah.
All right.
A lovely day, yeah.
Oh, peace all over the world. Come on, it's a lovely day.
It's a lovely day, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
A lovely day, yeah. Woo!
It's a lovely day.
It's a lovely day, yeah. A lovely day, yeah. Woo!
When I think of you,
when I think of you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you. Oh, just one look at you. And I know it's gonna be. Lovely day, 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 lovely day.
Once again, let's hear it for the Harlem School of the Performing Arts Choir. Ladies and gentlemen, there are coffee, drinks, and dessert for you to enjoy. Thank you once again for attending the 2019 Jefferson Awards, and have a wonderful night.